The massive chamber hummed with strange sounds. Crystal beings made musical notes that sparkled in the air. Giant insect creatures clicked and buzzed. Energy beings that looked like living lightning made crackling noises. This was how the 12 different alien species talked to each other in the Galactic Council. Taemin stood in the center of the room, wearing his simple black uniform. He looked very small compared to the huge aliens around him. Next to him stood Captain HFY in her military clothes. She kept her back straight and her face calm, even though she knew their whole species was being judged today. They had come here thinking they would make friends and trade deals. Instead, they found themselves on trial. The biggest creature in the room looked like a giant praying mantis with wings that showed rainbow colors. This was the speaker for the council. It made buzzing sounds that came out of Taemin's translator as words he could understand. "We have decided about the humans," the speaker said. "Your people are too dangerous to be free. You fight too much. You cannot control yourselves. So we will control you." Taemin felt his jaw get tight. He had practiced staying calm for months before coming here, but this was not what anyone expected. "Great speaker," he said, making sure his voice stayed steady. "We came here wanting to be partners, not slaves." Another alien that looked like a living crystal tree began to glow with orange light. The translator made its thoughts into words. "Your species has been at war for thousands of years. You kill each other over everything. Land, resources, ideas, even invisible gods. This is not the behavior of a civilized people." Captain HFY stepped forward. "We have also shown that we can work together when we need to. When our planet was threatened by asteroids, every nation worked as one. When diseases spread, we shared our medicine with everyone. When a being made of pure energy in a metal suit cut her off. Quiet. The decision is final. You will go to Station Kepler 7 in 7 days. There you will be processed and given your new roles." The words hit like a punch to the stomach. Processed, like they were things, not people. The speaker continued, talking. "You will be allowed to mine rocks in 3 empty star systems. The Altarians will watch you to make sure you follow orders. Any new technology you make must be given to us first. You cannot build new colonies without our permission. This is how it will be." Taemin looked around the chamber. 12 different alien species, all nodding or making their versions of agreement. Sounds. Every single one of them thought this was reasonable. Every single one thought humans deserved to be treated like children who could not be trusted. "How many other species have you done this to?" Taemin asked. The crystal tree alien glowed brighter. 23 species have been successfully integrated into our peaceful order. All of them are happy and productive members of our civilization. "And how many refused?" Captain HFY asked. The energy being's metal suit sparked. "That information is not relevant to your situation." But Taemin caught something in the way the translator hesitated. There was more to that story, something they were not being told as the session ended. Aliens began floating, crawling, and gliding out of the chamber. Some gave the humans looks that might have been pity. Others just ignored them completely. To most of the council, humans were now just another problem that had been solved. Taemin and HFY walked back to their small quarters in silence. The station around them was beautiful in an alien way. The walls curved like they had grown instead of being built. Lights that had no source floated in the air. Everything was smooth and perfect and completely wrong for human eyes. 7 days, HFY said when they were alone. 7 days, Taemin agreed. They sat in their main room, thinking about how to tell Earth that first contact had gone about as badly as possible. How do you explain to a whole planet that they had just become slaves to aliens who thought they were doing humans a favor? "There has to be something we can do," HFY said. "Some way to appeal this, or negotiate, or—" "Did you see their faces?" Taemin interrupted. "They were not angry or mean. They were bored. This is routine for them. They have done this so many times that enslaving an entire species is just another day at the office." Young-soo knocked on their door and came in without waiting for an answer. He was supposed to be just a maintenance engineer, someone to keep their equipment working during the long trip to the council station. But Taemin had started to suspect there was more to the quiet man than his job description suggested. "I have been listening to their communication systems," Young-soo said without any introduction. "The things they say when they think no humans can understand them." "And?" HFY asked. Young-soo's face was grim. "They are not just controlling us. They are studying us. They want to know how humans got so good at fighting and surviving. They think we might have learned these skills from someone else." "What do you mean, someone else?" Taemin asked. "They keep talking about the previous problem and making sure this time is different. I think we are not the first species to worry them." Young-soo pulled out a small device that definitely was not standard maintenance equipment. "I also found something else. Their security is very good against the kind of technology they know about, but they have never seen human computer systems before." The device projected a small hologram that showed the station's layout, but it showed much more detail than any human should have been able to access. "Young-soo," Captain HFY said slowly, "what exactly is your real job?" He smiled for the first time since they had arrived. "Let us just say that Earth did not send their best diplomat and their best captain to make first contact without also sending their best spy." Taemin felt a small spark of hope. Maybe they were not as helpless as the council thought. Maybe humans were about to remind the galaxy why underestimating Earth was always a mistake. Outside their window, alien ships moved in perfect formations around the station. Everything was orderly and predictable, just like the council preferred. None of them noticed the small changes Young-soo had already started making to their computer systems. None of them realized that the primitive humans had brought technology that worked in ways they had never imagined. And none of them knew that in 7 days, their perfect order was about to meet something it had never encountered before. Humans who refused to accept that they had lost. While Ambassador Taemin spent his days trying to talk to council members who would not listen, Young-soo crawled through the maintenance tunnels deep inside the station. His official job was to fix human equipment when it broke. His real job was much more interesting. The tunnels were dark and narrow, built for repair robots, not people. Young-soo had to squeeze through spaces barely wide enough for his shoulders. But these tunnels also had something the fancy diplomatic areas did not have: direct access to the station's main computer systems. Young-soo had studied alien technology for years before this mission, but only now was he seeing it up close. The council's computers were incredibly advanced, but they were also predictable. They had been built by species that never had to worry about security from the inside. After all, who would want to break into a peaceful civilization's systems? Humans, apparently. Dr. Ji-won found him 3 days after the council's judgment working by the light of a small lamp in a tunnel junction. She had to crawl on her hands and knees to reach him. "The others are wondering where you disappeared to," she whispered. Young-Soo looked up from the alien interface he had carefully taken apart and put back together with some extra human components. I am learning about our new masters, and what I am learning is very interesting. He showed her the holographic display floating in the air between them. It showed information that should have been far beyond what any human was allowed to see. How are you accessing their classified files? Ji-won asked. Their security assumes that anyone trying to break in will use technology they recognize, Young-Soo explained. But human computers work differently than theirs. We use quantum processors and neural networks. They use crystalline matrices and bioorganic circuits. It is like they built a lock for one kind of key, and we showed up with a completely different kind. Ji-won studied the data flowing past them. What have you found? Young-Soo's expression grew serious. Every species the Council has integrated followed the same pattern. They evolved on stable worlds with few natural disasters. They developed technology slowly and peacefully. When the Council found them, they were happy to trade some freedom for security. But humans are different, Ji-won said. Very different. Look at this. Young-Soo pulled up comparison charts. Every other species took millions of years to develop space travel. Most of them never had wars that covered their whole planet. None of them survived multiple extinction events. Ji-won leaned closer. And the Council sees this as proof that we are dangerous, Young-Soo finished. But I think they are missing something important. They are so focused on our history of fighting that they are not asking why we survived when so many other species would have died out. Meanwhile, in the diplomatic quarters, 2 other humans were conducting their own investigation. Dong-hyun and Min-young were supposed to be simple security guards, protecting the diplomatic mission from any threats. Their real jobs were quite different. Dong-hyun had spent 15 years learning how to fight wars that could not be won through normal means. Min-young was an expert at understanding how enemies thought and planned. Together, they were mapping the Council's real capabilities. Their military doctrine is entirely defensive, Min-young reported during a secret meeting in Young-Soo's tunnel hideout. Every ship position, every weapon emplacement, every patrol route. They are not exploring or expanding. They are just protecting what they already have. Dong-hyun nodded. And their technology reflects that. Advanced shields, powerful sensors, automated defenses, but no innovation in weapons design for over 1,000 years. They have not fought a real war in so long that they have forgotten how. Dr. Ji-won looked up from the biological data she was studying. That matches what I am seeing in their medical files. All 12 Council species show signs of genetic stagnation. They have been so stable for so long that they have stopped evolving. Stopped. Evolving how? Taemin asked. He had finally been brought into the secret group after Young-Soo was certain the diplomatic quarters were not being monitored. They cannot adapt quickly to new situations, Ji-won explained. If their environment changes slowly, they can adjust over thousands of years. But rapid change would be catastrophic for them. Young-Soo highlighted a section of data on his display, which explains this. I found records of 17 other species that the Council encountered over the past 3,000 years. Species that were classified as too unstable for integration. What happened to them? Taemin asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. The official records say they were relocated to preserve galactic stability, Young-Soo said. But when I dig deeper into the data, I find resource allocation reports. Massive amounts of medical supplies, atmospheric processors, and something called biological adjustment protocols. The silence in the tunnel was heavy with understanding. They commit genocide, Min-young said quietly. They do not call it that. but they eliminate any species that might threaten their perfect order. Taemin felt sick. And we are next. Maybe, Young-Soo said, but I found something else. Something that changes everything. He pulled up a new display, this one showing energy readings from the edge of the star system. 12 hours ago, their sensors detected something. A massive energy signature. Unlike anything in their databases. What kind of energy signature? Dong-hyun asked. Young-Soo smiled for the first time in days. The kind that 16 human warships make when they drop out of hyperspace? The group stared at the display in shock. 16 ships? Taemin repeated. But Earth only has 12 ships capable of interstellar travel, and most of those are explorers or cargo vessels. Not Earth ships, Young-Soo corrected. The lead vessel is broadcasting an identifier, KSNS Incheon, Korean Space Naval Service. Min Young's eyes widened. The Peninsula Alliance finished their fleet project. What fleet project? Ji-won asked. Dong-hyun was already grinning. 3 years ago, Korea, Japan, and the Pacific Federation started building warships in secret. The official story was asteroid mining and deep space exploration. But the real purpose was to give Earth some teeth if first contact went badly. And it just went very badly, Taemin said. Young-Soo was studying the Council's response to the new arrivals. They are panicking. Look at this communication traffic. Emergency sessions, fleet mobilizations, something called Protocol 7 is being activated. What is Protocol 7? Min Young asked. Young-Soo's face went pale as he read. The classified file. Planetary sterilization. It is their final solution for uncontainable threats. They can wipe out all life on a planet from orbit. How long do we have? Taemin asked. 6 hours until the protocol is fully activated, Young-Soo replied. But they are not just targeting Earth. They have been tracking our colony ships. Every human settlement is going to be destroyed. Dr. Ji-won looked at the data with new understanding. They are not trying to integrate us. They are buying time to commit total genocide. Dong-hyun was already moving toward the tunnel exit. Then we need to warn the fleet. Now. As the group prepared to act, Young-Soo made one final discovery in the Council's deepest archives. Hidden among files that were thousands of years old, he found a record that made his blood run cold. It was a species profile for a race that had been eliminated 3 millennia ago. A species described as having excessive adaptability, dangerous innovation potential, and suicidal resistance to authority. A species from a world in the Vega system that had somehow produced survivors who escaped the Council's genocide. A species that had left behind a single message, translated into every Council language. We are coming home, Young-Soo realized. With growing excitement that humans were not the first to challenge the Council. They were just the first to come back strong enough to finish what someone else had started. Dr. Ji-won was supposed to be visiting the Council's cultural archives to learn about alien art and music. Instead, she was using Young-Soo's hacking tools to dig into their most secret medical databases. What she found there changed everything. They thought they knew about the Galactic Council. The truth was hidden deep in files that were thousands of years old. The 12 species that ruled the galaxy had not peacefully evolved into a peaceful confederation. They had systematically hunted down and destroyed 17 other civilizations that showed signs of becoming too powerful. It is always the same. Pattern, Ji-won whispered into her communicator as she sat in what looked like a harmless cultural study booth. First contact, evaluation, classification as unstable or aggressive, and then elimination. In Young-Soo's tunnel hideout, the whole group listened to her report with growing horror. "How do they do it?" Tae-min asked. "Different methods for different species," Ji-won replied, reading from files that made her stomach turn. "Sometimes they engineer diseases that target specific genetic markers. Sometimes they manipulate solar radiation to make worlds uninhabitable. 3 times they simply destroyed inhabited planets with weapons that turned matter into energy." Captain Hae-won studied the data Young-soo was displaying. "But why? What threat could these species have posed?" "Look at the descriptions," Young-soo said, highlighting sections of text. "Species that developed too quickly. Species that showed signs of rapid adaptation. Species that refused to accept council authority." "They are not peacekeepers," Ji-won said as the full picture became clear. "They are gardeners, and they cut down any plant that grows too tall." Min Young was analyzing the military data with professional interest. "This explains their defensive posture. They are not exploring the galaxy looking for new members. They are patrolling it, looking for threats to eliminate. And we lit up their threat detectors like a fireworks show," Dong-hyun added grimly. Tae-min felt pieces clicking into place in his mind. The evaluation criteria they used on us. They were not measuring our civilization level. They were measuring how dangerous we might become. "A species that survived multiple extinction events," Young-soo read from their assessment file. "Developed space flight while maintaining planetary warfare capabilities. Achieved global cooperation without central authority. Demonstrated excessive innovation under pressure. Recommended action, immediate containment with full elimination protocols on standby. We scored perfect marks on their species to destroy checklist," Hae-won said. Young-soo had been working on something else while they talked. Suddenly he straightened up with a sharp breath. "There is more. I have been tracking their resource. Movements. They are not planning to just control us. They are planning to relocate our entire species." He showed them logistics reports that were chilling in their bureaucratic language. Complete evacuation of Sol system within 50 years, population transfer to designated containment worlds, genetic modification programs to reduce aggressive tendencies and innovation potential. "They want to turn us into a different species," Ji-won said with disgust. "Lobotomize our entire race to make us safe." Captain Hae-won laughed, but there was no humor in it. "They really have no idea what they are dealing with." Min Young, who had been monitoring communication channels, looked up with alarm. "We have a problem. The council just changed our reporting deadline. We are supposed to be at the processing station in 18 hours, not 7 days. They are rushing the timeline," Tae-min realized. "Something has made them nervous." Young-soo was already pulling up the station's sensor logs. "I know what. Look at this. 3 hours ago, they detected a massive energy signature at the edge of the system. The display showed sensor readings that made everyone go quiet. 16 ships had just arrived, and their energy patterns were unlike anything in the Council's databases. The lead ship is broadcasting an identifier," Young-soo continued. "KSNS Incheon, commanded by Admiral Kyung-ho. Korean Space Naval Service," Hae-won said with satisfaction. The Peninsula Alliance came through. But Young-soo was looking at more data, and his expression was confused. "Wait. These energy readings. The ships are not using standard human technology. These power signatures are off the charts." "What do you mean?" Tae-min asked. "I mean that. According to these sensors, those 16 ships are each carrying more firepower than the entire Council Defense Fleet," Young-soo explained. "Either the sensors are wrong or humans have been busier than anyone thought." Dr. G1 was studying the biological data again. There is something else. I found genetic records for the council species going back millions of years. They have been stable for so long that they have lost the ability to adapt quickly. How does that help us? Dong-hyun asked. Because humans are the opposite, Ji-won explained. We are adaptation specialists. Our whole evolutionary history is about surviving rapid change, ice ages, asteroid impacts, volcanic eruptions, plagues. We get stronger when everything goes wrong. And they get weaker, Min-young added, understanding. They can handle gradual change over thousands of years, but rapid threats would be devastating. Young-soo was still analyzing the sensor data from the new arrivals. There is something very strange about these ships. They appeared on sensors without any hyperspace signatures. No dimensional rifts. No exotic matter trails. They just appeared. Maybe their sensors are broken, Taemin suggested. No, Young-soo said slowly. I think the ships are using technology the Council has never seen before. Look at this communication. From their military command, unknown propulsion method, recommended response, immediate defensive posture. Captain Haewon was studying the fleet positions on Young-soo's display. 16 ships against their entire defense network. Those are not good odds, unless the 16 ships are not playing by the same rules, Dong-hyun pointed out. Suddenly, alarms began screaming throughout the station. Emergency lights bathed the corridors in red, and announcement systems crackled to life in a dozen alien languages. Young-soo frantically worked his interfaces, translating the emergency broadcasts. Council fleet is moving to intercept the human ships. They are demanding immediate withdrawal, or they will open fire. What is the human response? Taemin asked. Young-soo found the communication channel and played the response for everyone to hear. Admiral Kyung-ho's voice was calm and professional, but there was steel underneath. Council vessels, this is Admiral Kyung-ho of the Korean Space Naval Service. Be advised that you are currently being illuminated by targeting systems from 16 ships of the line. Any hostile action toward our diplomatic mission will be considered an act of war against the Korean Peninsula Unified Command and, by extension, the Terran Colonial Defense Force. The group in the tunnel looked at each other with new understanding. Terran. Colonial Defense Force? Taemin repeated. Since when do we have a Colonial Defense Force? Since someone decided that sending diplomats to meet aliens without backup was a bad idea, Haewon said with a grin. Young-soo made one final discovery that sent chills down everyone's spine. Deep in the Council's archives, he found a record of the last species they had completely eliminated. A species that had fought back harder than any other, forcing the Council to develop their most extreme protocols. A species that had managed to get a message out before their destruction. We are coming home. And according to the timestamp on that message, it had been sent exactly 100 years ago. The reinforcements are not just here to save us, Young-soo realized. They are here to finish a war that started a century ago. The Galactic Council's emergency session was unlike any in their 3,000-year history. What should have been a simple processing of another primitive species had suddenly become their worst nightmare, a potential military confrontation with an unknown force. The massive chamber buzzed with panic as representatives tried to understand how 16 human ships had appeared in their system without warning. The Vraxian speaker's rainbow wings fluttered with stress patterns that everyone recognized. Admiral Kyung-ho's initial transmission was playing on repeat throughout the station. His voice was calm and polite, but the words were terrifying. This is Admiral Kyung-ho of the Korean Space Naval Service, requesting immediate conference with the Galactic Council regarding the status of our diplomatic mission. The Vraxian speaker tried to maintain control. Unknown vessels, you are in violation of Council space. Withdraw immediately or face destruction. What came back was not the compliance they expected. Instead, Admiral Kyung-ho's response carried the weight of military doctrine that the Council had never encountered before. Council vessels, be advised that you are currently illuminated by targeting systems from 16 ships of the line. Any hostile action toward our diplomatic mission will be considered an act of war against the Korean Peninsula Unified Command and, by extension, the Terran Colonial Defense Force. In the diplomatic quarters, Ambassador Tae-min received a coded transmission. That made him smile for the first time in days. The message was simple. Package delivered. Stand by for fireworks. Young-Soo's infiltration of the Council systems now provided real-time intelligence to the human fleet. As he fed targeting data and system vulnerabilities to the newly arrived ships, he discovered something that made his blood freeze. They are activating Protocol 7, he reported to the others through his secure channel. The planetary sterilization protocol I found earlier. It is not just for Earth. They have been tracking our colony ships for months. Captain Haewon's expression hardened. How long until they can implement it? 6 hours to full activation, Young-Soo replied. But there is something else. The protocol is not just for our current worlds. They have predictive models for where humans might colonize in the future. They are planning to sterilize empty systems to prevent us from ever expanding. The implications hit everyone at once. This was not about controlling humanity. This was about erasing humanity from existence entirely. Dr. Ji-won's xenobiology training suddenly became crucial. Their species' evolution, she said urgently. They are all specialists. Millions of years of stability have made them incredibly efficient at what they do, but they cannot adapt to new threats. But humans can, Min Young added. We are generalists. We adapt to everything. Tae-min activated his emergency diplomatic channel. Admiral, this is Ambassador Tae-min. Council is implementing extinction protocol against all human worlds. Repeat, they are planning genocide, not integration. Admiral Kyung-ho's response was immediate and chilling. Understood, Ambassador. Yoonji, begin Gwanggaeto Protocol. Even through the diplomatic channel, they could hear the Korean fleet's tactical officer acknowledging the order. Gwanggaeto Protocol confirmed. All ships prepare for implementation. Young-Soo frantically searched the Council's databases for any reference to this protocol, but found nothing. Whatever the humans were planning, it was completely outside the Council's experience. The answer came when proximity alarms began screaming. Throughout the Council station, the 16 human ships had vanished from sensors. Impossible. The Keltharian energy being pulsed in distress. Our sensors show no hyperspace signatures, no cloaking field activation. Where did they go? The answer came 30 seconds later, when 16 human vessels materialized simultaneously inside the Council's defensive perimeter. Not outside it, where they had been moments before, but inside, with their weapons trained on critical station systems. How? The Vraxian speaker demanded through emergency channels. Captain Haewon, now openly coordinating with the fleet from her position aboard the Council station, answered with evident satisfaction. Tunnel drive. We do not use hyperspace like you do. We fold space-time itself. Your sensors are looking for the wrong kind of physics. Young-Soo's systems were being flooded with data as the human fleet shared everything they had learned about the Council, But the information was not just tactical, it was historical. "Admiral," Taemin said over the secure channel, "we have discovered that the Council has eliminated 17 other species over the past 3,000 years. They are not peacekeepers. They are exterminators." "We know," Admiral Kyung-ho replied, grimly. "We have been talking to the survivors." The word sent shock waves through the group in the maintenance tunnels. "Survivors?" Ji-won asked. Admiral Kyung-ho's next transmission was broadcast on all Council frequencies, so that every alien in the system could hear it. "Council leadership, you are about to receive a data package containing complete historical records of 17 extinct civilizations. Records that we reconstructed from archaeological evidence, genetic analysis, and eyewitness testimony from their descendants." The data package that followed shattered the Council's understanding of human development. It contained something they thought was impossible: proof that humans had been in contact with other galactic civilizations for over a century. "You are not the first galactic empire," Admiral Kyung-ho continued. "You are just the most recent, and every civilization you have eliminated or integrated had relatives who escaped." "We have been talking to them for 100 years, the Altarian crystal being pulsed in panic colors. "That is impossible. Our records show complete elimination of all hostile species." "Your records show what you wanted them to show, Ambassador," Taemin said, finally able to drop his diplomatic mask. "What you did not account for was that some species are too stubborn to die quietly." Dr. Ji-won's biological analysis was being transmitted to the fleet in real time. Council species show genetic stagnation consistent with millions of years of peaceful evolution, she reported. "They can maintain stability, but they cannot innovate under pressure. And humans excel at exactly what they cannot do," Admiral Kyung-ho observed. Young-soo made one more discovery that changed everything. Hidden in the deepest Council archives was a record of their own origins. They had not peacefully evolved into a galactic confederation. They were the survivors of a previous galactic war, having learned to maintain power by preventing any other species from becoming strong enough to challenge them. You created a stable empire by ensuring no one else could threaten that stability, Taemin said over the open channel. But stability is not survival. It is just delayed extinction. The second phase of the Gwanggaeto Protocol, activated as human ships, began appearing throughout the Council's territory, not as invaders, but as liberators. 17 other species that the Council thought they had eliminated stepped out of hiding, backed by human technology and determination. The final transmission from Admiral Kyung-ho was delivered not as a threat, but as a simple statement of fact. The Galactic Council is hereby dissolved. Individual member species are invited to join the Galactic Commonwealth as equals. Refusal will result in isolation, not destruction. We are not you. Young-soo found one last piece of the puzzle in the Council archives. The original name of their organization, before it had become a stagnant empire, focused only on preventing change: the Galactic Commonwealth. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. They had simply reminded it what it was supposed to be. In the growing fleet of diverse species now gathering around human ships, the future looked less like humanity's triumph and more like everyone's second chance. The Council had declared humans subordinate and learned within hours that humans did not do subordinate. They did, however, excel at reminding others what freedom looked like. The Gwanggaeto Protocol was named after an ancient Korean emperor who had expanded his kingdom against impossible odds. It was humanity's ultimate response to overwhelming force. Not surrender, not even victory, but transformation of the entire battlefield. Admiral Kyung-ho's fleet did not attack the Council ships. Instead, they did something far more terrifying to a civilization built on predictability. They vanished completely. Impossible! The Keltharian energy being pulsed frantically. Our sensors show no hyperspace signatures, no cloaking technology, activation, no dimensional rifts. Where did they go? The answer came when 16 human vessels materialized simultaneously inside the Council's defensive perimeter, their weapons trained not on military targets, but on the station's life support. And power systems. They had not broken the Council's defenses, they had simply ignored them entirely. How? The Vraxian speaker demanded through emergency channels, its rainbow wings now flashing distress patterns that hurt to look at. Captain Haiwan, no longer pretending to be a simple military observer, answered with cold satisfaction. Tunnel drive. We do not use hyperspace like your technology assumes. We fold space-time itself. Your sensors are designed to detect the physics you understand, not the physics we use. Young-Su's infiltration systems had provided more than just intelligence to the human fleet. They had given them complete access to the Council's databases, including the locations of every member world, every strategic resource, and every military installation across their 47 star systems. But the real shock came when Admiral Kyung-ho transmitted a data package that shattered the Council's entire worldview. The package contained detailed historical records of 17 extinct civilizations, reconstructed with a level of detail that should have been impossible. You are not the first galactic empire, Admiral Kyung-ho's voice carried across all frequencies. You are just the most recent. Every civilization you have eliminated or integrated had survivors who escaped. We have been talking to them for over a century. The Altarian crystal being pulsed in colors that had no name, patterns of panic that its species had not displayed in thousands of years. Our records show complete elimination of all threats. This is impossible. Your records show what you chose to see, Ambassador Tae-min said, finally free to speak his mind. What you never considered was that some species are too stubborn to die quietly. Dr. Jiwon's expertise became crucial as she explained what the Council had missed. You have all achieved genetic stability through millions of years of peaceful evolution. You can maintain order, but you cannot adapt to rapid change. Humans are the opposite. We are specialists in surviving when everything goes wrong. The true scope of the Gwanggaeto Protocol became clear as human ships began materializing in orbit around every Council member world. Not as conquerors, but as liberators, bringing news that changed everything. The 17 species that the Council thought they had eliminated stepped out of hiding. Some had been living in the Outer Rim, building strength in secret. Others had been hiding among the Council's own integrated populations, waiting for the right moment. All of them had been in contact with humans for decades. How? The Vraxian speaker asked, its voice breaking into harmonic fragments of confusion. Su Jin, the human fleet's xenoarchaeologist, provided the answer. 100 years ago, refugees from the Vega system reached Earth. They told us about the Council's methods and helped us prepare. When you eliminated their homeworld, you created exactly the kind of enemy you were trying to prevent. Survivors with nothing to lose and everything to remember. The revelation that followed was even more devastating. Young-Su's deep analysis of the Council's archives revealed their true origins. They had not peacefully evolved into a galactic confederation. They were the last survivors of a previous galactic war, having learned to maintain power by ensuring no other species could ever challenge them again. You did not create peace. Taemin observed. You created a prison, and you made yourselves the guards. The final phase of the Gwanggaeto Protocol was not military action, but political transformation. Admiral Kyung-ho's announcement echoed across the galaxy. The Galactic Council is hereby dissolved. All member species are invited to join the Yi Galactic Commonwealth as equals. Those who prefer isolation may choose that path, but the age of forced integration is over. What made the declaration devastating was not its threat, but its promise. The humans were not offering conquest or revenge. They were offering choice, something the galaxy had not seen in 3,000 years. One by one, the Council member species began to respond. The younger civilizations, those that had been integrated more recently, were quick to accept the new arrangement. The founding species, faced with the choice between cooperation and isolation, found themselves in an impossible position. The Vraxian speaker was the first to break. What assurance do we have that humans will not simply become the new oppressors? Admiral Kyung-ho's response was immediate and personal. Because we know what it feels like to be oppressed. Every human alive carries the genetic memory of extinction events, of times when our entire species almost died. We will never inflict that fear on others, Dr. Jiwon added the scientific perspective. Human psychology is fundamentally different from yours. We form cooperative groups in response to threats, not hierarchical dominances. When humans are in charge, we do not rule. We organize. The proof came in the actions that followed. Human ships began providing aid to worlds that had been damaged by Council policies. Technology was shared freely, not hoarded. Most importantly, the humans kept their promise. Species that chose isolation were left alone, their borders respected. Young Su made one final discovery that brought the story full circle. The original charter of the Galactic Council, written 3,000 years ago, had been called the Galactic Commonwealth Charter. The ideals had been the same: cooperation, mutual aid, and respect for all sapient life. You did not fail because you were evil, Taemin said in his final diplomatic transmission to the former council leadership. You failed because you were afraid. Fear made you forget what you were supposed to be protecting. The transformation was not instant or complete. Some worlds chose to remain isolated, nursing old grudges and ancient fears. Others joined the new Commonwealth enthusiastically, eager to explore possibilities that had been forbidden for millennia. But the most important change was not political or military. It was psychological. For the first time in 3,000 years, the galaxy was not afraid of change. Human ships continued to appear throughout the galaxy, but not as enforcers. They came as teachers, showing other species technologies and techniques that the Council had suppressed. They came as protectors, standing guard over worlds that were vulnerable during the transition. Most importantly, they came as friends, proving that cooperation was stronger than control. The Galactic Council had declared humans subordinate and learned within hours that humans did not accept subordination. But they also learned that humans understood the difference between strength and tyranny. In the end, humanity did not conquer the galaxy. They liberated it from conquerors, including themselves, and in doing so, they reminded everyone what freedom was supposed to look like, not the absence of rules, but the presence of choice. The age of the Galactic Council was over. The age of the Galactic Commonwealth had begun, and at its heart was a simple human principle. When someone tries to make you kneel, the appropriate response is to help everyone else stand up.